Oh, hey guys, can you hear? Oh yeah, I can hear. Yeah, it's working. It's working. We're good. I had a brief moment of panic that the mic wasn't working. Hello everyone, welcome. And today we will talk about the election and 100% guarantee that there's going to be a rant about everything that's been going on. And just normally I come super prepared to these things, but I spent so much time preparing for last week's stream about Nuremberg that I kind of just gave it a break this week, and I'm just going to go off the cuff and just not have anything ready for you guys, but just going to talk about the stuff that's been happening this week. And there's been quite a lot of things happening this week. So anyways, hope you're all doing well. Hello, Joad White. Jesus Gonzalez, glad you're here. Binks. Stavros, hello, welcome. St. John. So yeah, the Canadian elections, eh? Good times in Canada. So I guess we could start with that, and that way the people who are going to catch this after the stream, after the live stream, will be able to tune out, because people generally only want to hear what the title of the video is, and then anything go off on after, they're kind of upset when it's not live. So anyways, okay, so let's start with these Canadian elections today. So announced on Sunday, Trudeau decided there was going to be an election on September 20th. And to me, I view it as good and bad news. And we'll start with the good news. This is what I think, is that it's buying us a little bit of time. So yeah, Jawad, I will get to Afghanistan for sure. So Jawad here was asking if I can talk about Afghanistan. Yeah, I'll give you guys my take on that. Tamajit, hello. Richard, hello everyone. And HM, hello. So, okay, the Canadian election. So, we're in the middle of supposedly the fourth wave of the worst pandemic we've ever seen in our lifetime. So why in the world would there be an election at this point? And you're going to hear all sorts of stuff from both sides of the aisle. So the Conservatives, the Liberals, you're going to hear all sorts of stuff. Now, brace yourselves, because you might not like what I have to say today, but I've always been saying my honest opinion, and sometimes it does piss people off. I just hope that if it does happen to upset you a little bit, that you're not going to just unsubscribe and hear me out a little bit on this one. So, and this is coming from I'm a pure lay person, no connections to any political party anymore, not funded by anyone, just me and my home office here giving you my opinion on this. Hello, Christian Delorme. Hello, Mélanie. Hope your family's doing well today, guys. Okay, so the election in the middle of a pandemic, which is one of the most idiotic things I have ever seen. But again, coming out of politicians, pretty much everything is idiotic. But here goes my take on this. So there's a strategic reason why I think this is happening right now. The good news is it's buying us time. So because these politicians are going to be self-absorbed in their world of, going out there and campaigning, we are going to have a little bit more time. And I really, really recommend that you use this time. And again, I have no sources telling me this. This is just from what I've seen studying historical events that were similar. But it buys you time. So get ready for a future very strict lockdown. Very, very, even if you're vaccinated, don't think that you're going to get off the hook. It's going to be very, very strict. If you're at all interested in seeing how strict we're going to be, you can look at what Australia and New Zealand are doing this week. They are 100% tyrannical at this point. They are no different than the kind of measures that were taken in the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. They are exactly the same. And the only thing that they need to be full communist at this point is for the nationalization of all of their industries. Once they do that, this is going to be like full level 100 communism, but they're probably level 90 communism. And they do things like lock people in their homes at this point. You can't go out. You can't without a valid reason. You're checked up on in your home to make sure you're actually in your home. crazy, crazy stuff. Of course, you will never hear this in the mainstream media. You guys have to go on BitChute if you want to hear the real deal. I really highly recommend BitChute. And I also follow a lot of people on Rumble, but what I'm starting to realize is Rumble doesn't have the level of freedom that BitChute seems to have. So I don't know if they're censoring things the same way that YouTube is, but I can't find the same level of information on Rumble either anymore. So I think they might be a little bit like YouTube, but just like a decoy version of YouTube, trying to get people to go on there. So please go to BitChute. I am on BitChute myself, but I don't post a lot of videos because I'm focusing more on the live streams for so long as I can. But there's a ton of really, really solid information by lawyers, scientists, medical doctors, virologists, like everything you want to know, like very, very strong political analysts that are banned from everywhere else. They're all on BitChute. So anyways, you can go and check that out. So the election in Canada is kind of good in a way because it does buy you time. So go ahead and do everything that you can to get prepared right now. And by everything, I mean get the supplies you need, get all of your stuff in order. If your roof needs to be fixed, do it now. Like, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so please don't think that this is what I'm trying to do here. And I don't want to get banned for financial misinformation, but this is just my recommendation that I think we're headed for an Australia-style lockdown in a matter of weeks. So after the election, September 20th, I think they're going to announce the very, very strict lockdowns. So just be mentally ready. I think if you're even like psychologically ready for this, you'll have such a big advance on everybody else who's kind of like thinking that they're releasing the measures now and making it easier, who think, oh my God, we're almost at the end of this. They have no idea. We're really just starting this whole thing. This is really just starting. I just wanted to say a quick hello. I saw a bunch of people in the chat here. I just wanted to say a quick hello. Tyler, hello, Matt, Dugas, Deborah, Linda K, how are you? I hope everything's good on your end. Coach T-Mac, J for Freedom. Hi, J for Freedom. Long time no see. I hope you're good. I'm glad you're here in the live stream as well. Beetle Eater Doug. I always get your name wrong because I see all those letters and my brain kind of disjoints. But D Beetle Eater. So anyways, and HODL Crypto. I don't see any of our. Yeah, where is Faye? I don't know where Faye is. Faye, I saw her in the chat yesterday, but she'll be here. She'll be here. But anyways, okay. I haven't seen too many what do we call them? The trolls in the chat yet. It doesn't look like they're here. I think we scared them off that time. But anyways, okay. So we got the good news of the election, which is it buys us time. If you didn't get the injection yet, it'll buy you time as well on that front. So that's good news. The bad news, what the election is truly about. So at this point, sadly, everyone in Canada that is running for any political party is already part of the globalist elite. You could argue that PPC might, so this is Max Bernier's party, they might have the anti-globalist agenda at heart. That could be argued, and I can see that. But are they really going to win anything? No. So I can't consider them to be part of a serious election at this point, because I believe the election is already rigged. It's already decided. We already know who's going to win. And to that matter, like I personally think Trudeau's going to win again with a majority government this time. But if I'm wrong and the Conservatives will win, it doesn't make a difference because the Conservatives are just equally puppets of the global agenda. NDP, also puppets. They're all going along with all of this. So essentially what you have to realize as you go and vote this time around is Canada is no longer Canada. It's now a satellite globalist state headed up by the Klaus Schwabs and all those people at the UN. Now so we no longer have Canada. And it's very sad. It pains me to say that. And I say it with a smile because I'm almost like, I don't even know how to get these messages across. But it's already predetermined. So it doesn't matter if somebody from the conservative side win or somebody from liberal, it's no longer Canada. So this is all a show. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all a show to make you think that you're still in a democratic environment when in reality you're not. So if you vote and the liberals get into power, they'll continue with this agenda. If the conservatives go into power, they'll continue with this agenda as well. It makes no difference at this point anymore. And it's very bleak outlook. But this is where it's no longer about politicians. This is we've tried that route. And at this point, the only goal we should have in Canada is to reduce the power of the government as much as possible. And in my opinion, the only way to do that is by not going along with these mandates that they're putting out. You have to remember, they're just mandates. This is not the law. They're just mandates. So do not go along. When they say wear a mask, don't wear a mask anymore. When they say vaccine passports have to be used to take a train, don't use a vaccine passport. People should just blatantly not use them. People who check should literally not care if there's a vaccine passport or not. Restaurant owners should let anybody come in. That is the only way to defeat this. It's no longer about politicians. There is no political party that will save you. It is up to us. We are the only ones, and we have to kind of all come together in this whole thing and realize that it's not the war between the vaxxed and the unvaxxed, between the woke and the non-woke, between the gays and the non-gays. Like, it's not, it's us versus the government, who's full-blown tyrannical at this point. And if there's an entire country who decides to reject it, at least there's a chance there. But sadly, the politician thing is not going to work. And the election is already predetermined. So unfortunately, the outcome is predetermined. And what the election is going to do, so this is what Trudeau is going to use the election for. This is the main goal. This is the most important thing you have to realize about the election. Again, my opinion, and I could be wrong on that. Please throw in the chat what you think. And I'm happy to read that and get into a discussion with you guys about this. But Trudeau is using this election because once he wins it, he'll be able to come out and say, hey, you know all those tyrannical measures I was using before? Well, the Canadian public wants me to do that. So that is going to be his new crutch going forward. So this will be the forever justification of the next 2 years, 4 years of pure lockdowns, the segregation of people, incarceration of innocent people just for wrong think, that kind of thing. Trudeau's going to say, hey, you guys had a chance. You had a chance and you voted me back in. But it would be the same if the Conservatives got in. It would be like, hey, you know what? Okay, you accepted the Conservatives. Trudeau, his ego will be a little bit hurt, but the global puppets won't care because the Conservatives are going to do the same agenda anyways. And they're going to be able to say, yeah, you voted for this. So personally, I think Trudeau is going to win again, majority government this time. And he is literally going to use that, saying, hey, I can do this. I've got the trust of the Canadian people. They voted this. They want this tyrannical approach to this because we need to beat COVID. So it's for the greater good. And off he goes. So this is why he's doing an election now. That's the only reason. I cannot think of any other reason to do an election like this in the middle of a pandemic when you can't even go to a store, but yet they want you to go to the polls and vote. So that's not going to be a problem, but you going to a store by yourself is going to be a problem. So again, the discrepancies are blatant. But yeah, this is what's going to happen, and that's why they are doing the election. Okay, so if you guys came in, you're watching this and it's not the live version, and you came in and just wanted to hear why the Canadian election is happening, well, now you know. And I'm going to move over to a couple other things that I think have been very important this week. The one thing is, of course, we've heard about the Taliban. That's been the big keyword this week in Afghanistan. And Jawad, you were asking me to chat about that real quick. So, oh, hey, Concan. Charlotte's here. Anyways, Alex Jones, I saw you. The not real Alex Jones, but anyways. So, okay. The Afghanistan thing, I don't understand why the US did it that way, why they decided to leave. If you listen to Sticks, Hex, and Hammer, he says that it's all about trying to get, if they had followed the Trump date, everything would have been okay. If you listen to others like Ben Shapiro, he says, oh, no, it never should have been done this way. We should have stayed there. So there's all sorts of different opinions on this. But what I see from this is either there's a lot of really stupid people making these high-level decisions in the army and in the Biden administration, or they're doing this on purpose. There's a reason for this. And I don't know exactly what the direct reason is for this, but it seems a little fishy to me that the Americans would leave all the equipment there. So was there a secret deal with China that they would leave the equipment to the Taliban so China and the Taliban can have an alliance? Like, I don't even know. I don't really know, but it was either massively stupid, and that just shows you that the people in the Biden administration are just the most ridiculous people ever, and that we should just never trust the government. If you can't trust them with military operations where you have tons of experts trying to weigh in on this, I don't know what we can do anymore with this government. But assuming that there's another agenda, it's also bad. So regardless of what the agenda is, regardless if it was stupidity or further agendas, to me, it all seems fishy, and it all just shows you cannot trust the government, and sadly, not even the government of the US. And the US, the greatest country on earth, right? It's so, so sad that even that country now is at that level. So, but what I can speak about is the Taliban, because I understand their ideology, and they are very clear about it. There is no hesitation coming from the Taliban. The Taliban is driven by the Quran. It's simple. It is the most simple thing you can ever understand is the Taliban. It doesn't matter if it's Taliban, if it's Al-Shabaab, no matter where they're from, they are all driven by the Quran. And the Quran is the book of Islam. And again, before I get into this, not all Muslims, okay? I have to say this every time, it drives me insane. But it's not all, I hate the idea of grouping all people together in one group and then casting them some kind of a blame or some kind of an attribute. For any group, it doesn't matter for any group. So the idea that I'm trying to go against all Muslims is absolutely false. So if anybody tries to push that against me, saying that I'm an Islamophobe, 100% wrong, you are. Because I do not believe, I think there's a lot of wonderful Muslims out there. A lot of wonderful Muslims are in my own family, guys. I have Muslims in my family, so please don't go and think that anything I'm saying is against the Muslims. I am truly talking about the ideology. The ideology of the Taliban is Islam. Islam is any ideology that has small religious component, legal component, how to live component, how to pray component, like all of that. And that is, when you look at all of that together, the code of conduct of Islam, if you want, is called the Sharia. Some people say it's Sharia law, but it's much more than law. It's how you're conducting yourself. See, Muhammad would be so proud of me because I understand the Quran. I've read it, I understand it. So the Taliban, they are simply following the Quran. This is why they're back in the 7th century, which is when the Quran was brought about, when Muhammad got the inspiration from the angel Gabriel, and they wrote it for 100 years after that. They spent writing the Quran. But Muhammad got all of those sayings directly from Allah, his God, the God, according to the Taliban. So when you understand that perspective, the Taliban is not interested in dealing with, first of all, any government of the world. They don't care. And I don't understand why these governments in our world are trying to go and negotiate with them. You cannot negotiate with the ideology of Islam. The ideology of Islam is one that is supremacist. It wants to take over the world. So you cannot negotiate with them. This is what is a failure, a permanent and constant failure of any Western government who keeps thinking we can change their minds. You know, you heard Trudeau this week. He said they need to step up. The Taliban needs to step up. It's like, dude, the only person they're going to step up for is Muhammad, and the only God they're going to step up for is Allah. If you don't understand that, you have no business being in any form of a negotiator with the Taliban or a government or some kind of an agreement with the Taliban. If you don't understand that, you're going to screw over the country that you're representing. The Taliban, they've told us what they want. We know, it's very clear. And how is it that the Western governments are still going like, oh, we encourage them, we mandate them to get diversity? Look, the Taliban doesn't care about what you say. They have to understand that. So when Trudeau says they need diversity, Taliban doesn't give a crap about what you say, and they don't give a crap about diversity. The only thing they listen to is the Quran and the words of Muhammad, and that is it. That is it. As long as you understand that, you're good. So, yeah, and Trudeau does happen to love radical Islam. That's 100% sure. The Just Watch is going to give away our money. So we have so much debt now in Canada that even like, I think my grandkids, I don't have them yet, but my grandkids, when they're born, will have the debt that we have accumulated today. And they will not, like, still with that, they won't take their lifetime to pay it. But even with that, Trudeau's still going to go ahead and give some like millions of dollars for some kind of diversity, equity treatment of women in Afghanistan. 100% sure he's going to come out with that soon. And this is the thing. They don't have equity of women in Islam. The women in Islam are subjugated to the men, and the men are subjugated to Allah. That's it. It's very simple. I don't understand why people think Islam is so complicated to understand. They all listen to Muhammad. So therefore, they won't listen to you, Trudeau, if you say you want equity. Biden said some similar stuff this week too. He was like, oh yeah, you guys should, what did he say? You guys should make sure that you're diverse in your army. No, they won't. They won't be diverse. There is no diversity under Islam. There is Islam, and that's it. There is no diversity. So yeah, they're going to be giving money to Islam, which is to the Taliban, which is essentially funding Islam. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. So just watch for that, guys, because that is the next thing that's going to come out of this whole thing. But the Taliban is now going, I mean, the problem with the Taliban is that they are primitive in a way, because they do believe in 7th century ideas. So when you try to get Islam in a completely modernized world, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. The only way for Islam to work completely is for them to go back to the 7th century. So they can't have, finance and all of that stuff. Our financial world is too sophisticated for Islam. It can't handle it. And Islam needs slavery. So and that's true for Islam. And there's Muslims in Canada who really don't know this. We can't hold it against them. It's like us Christians. We have different fervors. Some people go to church every Sunday, and some people pray every night, and some people just don't do anything, but they're still a Christian. Same in Islam. They have Muslims who are completely fervor Islam 100%. Those are Taliban and Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab and all of those other Islamic groups. Their goal is to bring back Islam here to the world. And that's their goal, is to instate it all over. But yeah, there's going to be a big resurgence in that ideology now, because it seems to have a lot more credibility nowadays within the Islamic world. So it's a big, big deal for them to have defeated US and taken over Afghanistan. So that's essentially what's happening over there. But you have to remember, the Taliban will not work with us. They won't collaborate with us. They won't enforce any of our values. The only thing that they want are Islamic values. And they want you to adopt their values, not the other way around. So they will never adopt anything that we do. Their goal is for us to become Islamic. So, sorry guys, as long as you understand that, and we all understand that, we have the safeguards in place for us to not be taken advantage, but clearly Trudeau doesn't seem to get that at all. So anyways, Oh, Crit, you're here. Hey, Crit. Guys, say hi to Crit. He's one of my really good friends. Very supportive of this channel since the start. So anyways, Crit, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's good in your world. I see Trent Dags is in there as well. Trent, I hope I said hi to you. You're always so sweet. And Terry McLeod as well. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. There's just it's not good. Now we're going to also yeah, Coach, you're saying Pakistan. Pakistan is Islamic. So Pakistan used to be part of India, and they broke apart, and Pakistan became the Islamic India in a way. So that's what happened with those guys. And yeah, Pakistan is going to get in on this. The Chinese are going to take advantage of this. They're probably going to fund them again. And it's just going to be just such a mess for us in the West because we're being weakened so much by all of this that's happening. Internally, we're being demoralized by our own governments. We're being locked in by our own governments. But then in the future, now these other countries, these other ideologies will have a bit more leeway to come in and try to sink their teeth into us and take advantage of us. So anyways, it's important for us to be really prepared on this because it's about to hit us from all sorts of fronts now. And so there are going to be more Islamic attacks. Now, I've talked about this author before, but one of my favorite authors in the world right now is a guy named Raymond Ibrahim. If you guys are interested in understanding the history of Islam, because you have to look at how Islam conquered the world in the past. Because if you understand that, if you understand Islam, the ideology, and then how it behaved in the world, you'll understand what we're in for soon. And Raymond Ibrahim has actually written one of the greatest books I've ever read in my life, probably my favorite book. It was called The Sword and the Scimitar. And what he did in that book is he went chapter, like year by year, like chunks of years, and he explained the Islamic conquest of Europe and the Middle East and all that, which used to be Christian. So he explains how all of it happened. And people always say, you know, the history is written by the victors, right? The people who were winning. Well, Islam won for a long time. And if you look at how much winning they did for how many centuries, and you understand how they enslaved the local populations, how they forced them to convert to Islam, there is no other option. You then understand what the Taliban is trying to do today. And they've said it, death to the USA. They mean it. They actually mean that. They want the USA to become Islamic. That's what they mean by death to the USA. So typically when Islamic armies will come into a new territory that they're trying to conquer, it's very violent. They will rape the women, and they will actually say, you have a choice. You either convert or die. And that's it. That's how these conquests have happened. So that's like, and it's not just me saying that, this is what the Muslims themselves have said for centuries. And they're very, very proud of that. So if you ever have a bit of time and you want to read a really, really good book, read Raymond's book. He's a solid author. Everything is research, has so much bibliography in there. It's a very, very good book. So my favorite, I've read it about 3 times now, and it's by far my favorite way to understand the conquest of Islam. So anyways, he's a cool dude too. I think I mentioned him in one of my earlier videos like 2 years ago. And I think he sent me an email. He sent me an email, and I didn't believe it was him because I get a lot of emails from people, and some people do pretend to be some other people just to get my attention. So I actually didn't believe it was him. So I wrote back and I'm like, look, I'm so sorry. I appreciate that you reached out, but I don't really believe you that you're you, because why would you ever reach out to me, right? And he actually sent a picture of himself with a note that he said, "Hi, Julie Mora," right on the note. So it was really, really awesome. He's a funny guy, and he's a really sweet guy too. So I've stayed in contact with him a little bit since then, and he's just such a good guy and such a smart guy. So a lot of respect for him. So anyways, you can read his book. And I saw a couple of people in here talking about Robert Spencer. Not to be confused with the Richard Spencer, the far right extremist guy, but Robert is amazing too. He got poisoned. I think it was in Iceland when he was doing a tour trying to warn people about Islamic invasion, so the Islamic migration. And somebody actually tried to poison him. He ended up in the hospital and everything. So, but despite that, he's still like, he's such a nice, cool guy. And he's like, he's really funny. He's really, really funny guy. And he knows the Quran like that. He's memorized the whole thing. And he probably wrote, I don't even know how many books. I think he must have at least 20, maybe even 25. But he's actually really, really smart as well and completely gets what Islam is. Has been trying for 25 years to warn us about Islam. So Robert Spencer is another one you can read. He's done like things like the Quran for Dummies, and he explains things really, really easily. You met Robert, eh? Oh, I bet he is super nice. Like, he seems like such a genuine guy, like the kind of guy who gets death threats all the time, but yet has still found a way to remain so nice and positive in life. Yeah. I bet he is a nice guy. Yeah, that's Jihad Watch guy. Robert Spencer's from Jihad Watch. Yeah, 100%. There's a couple, since we're on the topic of Islam, and you guys, if you followed me for like 3 years now, you guys know that I started out by talking about Islam on my channel. So there's a couple of other guys. There's Bill Warner, who is like this professor. He was a professor of science, and he actually started reading about that, and he's done a lot of really, really good books explaining the triad, like the life of Muhammad, the Quran, and then the sayings of Muhammad. So that's the triad of Islam. And he explains it. He breaks it all down into things that are understandable if you don't have time to read the whole Quran, which is understandable. And trust me, I've read the Quran, and it is kind of a mess of a book, really, to be honest. It's not easy to understand because it's not chronological. And there's all sorts of like weird examples based on translation, and you have to have interpreters tell you what they're trying to say. And it's just kind of a mess, really. It's not an easy thing to read. But yeah, Bill Warner, and David Wood. Here's another guy that Charlotte's telling us about here. So David Wood, super, super good guy as well. Really funny too. And he did the Muhammad series. I don't know if you guys saw that, where they were burning the Quran, and he's getting into so much trouble. David Wood is actually a self-admitted psychopath, like for real. He's actually a psychopath, which makes him really, really good to go after jihadis, because he legit doesn't care. He actually doesn't care. So it's kind of nice to have that. We need some of those people on our side. And okay, let me see what Jawad, because you guys know I love Jawad, but he wants me to have the Islamic conquest. The funny part is that a lot of the Islamic conquest that Raymond Ibrahim addresses in his book is from the Islamic side. It actually is. So this is where it's a nice balanced book, because it gives you both the conquered side. So you hear about the rape and the whatever, but then you also hear about the side from, it was like sources from the time, but Muslim sources who are actually saying, okay, this is what we did when we got there, and they're very proud of it. So, but yeah, Jawad, I don't want to offend anybody, but I know that anytime I talk about Islam, I do. So here's another one here. Islamists are not Muslim. That's true. So how do I formulate this? All Muslims follow Islam. That's just a given. If you follow Islam, you're a Muslim. But not all Muslims want to follow all of Islam. So the ones who really want to follow all of Islam, the pure Islam, the way Muhammad said to live it, those are what we now know as Islamists. The other ones are just kind of the Muslims. But technically, all Islamists are also Muslim. So what defines you as a Muslim is if you adhere to the ideology of Islam. If you're born into an Islamic family, your dad's a Muslim, you're considered to be a Muslim. And this is why under Islam, the ideology, a man can marry a non-Muslim and all the kids will be Muslim because it's patrilinear, but a woman cannot marry a non-Muslim. So if you have a Muslim woman, if she's in a very strict Islamic family, she cannot marry a non-Islamic guy. She can't marry just a white Ontario guy, for example. Absolutely forbidden under Islam. And it's because if you understand that it's patrilinear, meaning that the ideology gets passed down through the blood of the father, this is how they justify that. And that's Quran. This is Quran. This is all from the Islamic doctrine. So you have to be marrying a Muslim guy if you want your kids to become Muslim. So this is why you see a lot of women who date, they come to Canada, USA, and they start dating these non-Muslim guys, and their families get really angry at them. And we had a couple of cases like that in Toronto where girls get killed by their own families. Their fathers and their brothers will kill them because they were dating a non-Muslim guy. So, or they were not wearing the hijab or something. Like, you see all sorts of stuff, but that's the, and under Islam, you're allowed to kill if it's to protect and advance the cause of Islam. So, although not all Islamists are Muslim, but not all Muslims adhere to the complete extreme side of Islam, which is what we have now called Islamist. But if you look in the pure doctrine of Islam, there is no distinction. There's Muslim and there's non-Muslim. And if you're a Muslim, you're supposed to follow all of it. It's just because along the way, there have been leniencies in different countries. And when Muslims come to places like Canada, they're not obligated to follow all of Islam. So we get a lot of people who are fleeing the Islamists, ending up here, and they just want to do basic Islam, or they just want to pray and do the Ramadan, and that's it. So they are not technically a threat, but it doesn't mean that they're not following Islam. They're just following less of it. So, but if you're in the Taliban will tell you have to follow all of Islam. You don't get to pick and choose. That's what they're saying. You don't get to pick and choose. You follow all of it. Okay. That's what they're going to say if you're in the Taliban. And that's what they're doing right now. The Taliban is going door to door, and they're going to be enforcing Islamic law. And I feel bad for anybody left over there, any of the interpreters, like any of the Americans or Canadians from the army, or the people who tried to help the USA. I feel bad for them, because as much as we think or we pray that Islam is going to treat them well, they're not. They're going to view them as helping the enemy, and the sentence for doing something like that under Islamic law is death. There is no, I feel really bad that the USA left them there, because there's no redemption for them. They can't. There is no redemption. They are sentenced to death. And if the USA had completely understood Islam, they would have gotten their people out before this whole thing, and not left people there. I think they left 2,000 Americans there with their families. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for those people. And very sadly, they will probably be all beheaded in the next few weeks. So anyways, that's a little depressing, isn't it? Oh. Okay, so Jay for Freedom, you don't agree. You don't agree. Let me see what you're saying here. I know if we are canceled if we say so, but Islam is an extremist ideology. You make up your own mind. Yeah. No, you're right. Like, Islam is extremist according to our values. I consider Islam to be extremist. I'm just glad not all Muslims follow all of it. I'm glad there's Muslims around us that don't follow all of it, because if they did, we would be surrounded by what we've somehow decided to call Islamists. But yeah, and this is what makes it really hard too, because we don't know, when you have a Muslim family next door, you don't know how deep into Islam they are, and it makes it very tough. So yeah, it is quite depressing, Bill. Sorry. Between Canada and the lockdowns and all of that, this is really, really depressing. All of this is very depressing, and I feel really bad for Afghanistan. But again, at this point, I can't help the people of Afghanistan. I mean, they have to help themselves. We have to help ourselves in Canada. Like, it's not like Afghanistan is going to come and help us when our government's going to lock us in and start demanding tyrannical measures out of us. So hate to say this, but everybody has to figure out their own stuff in their own country now and fight for it. So I can't fight for Afghanistan. I can only tell you what the Taliban's about, but I have to actually fight for Canada. Like, all of my energy and resources are dedicated in fighting for Canada, the country formerly known as Canada. So yeah, as we head into this election, just keep in mind, it doesn't matter who's going to be winning. It makes absolutely no difference. No difference who wins. It's going to be a matter of collaborating with our fellow Canadians and not fall victimized to the divisions they're trying to put in with all of us. They're trying to divide us, and that's the biggest way that they can succeed. And then they think that we blame each other, but we have to resist the urge. Like, just like a lot of people are saying, oh, the unvaxxed are causing this new pandemic or the Delta variant. We have to resist the urge to go and say, well, I don't want to hang out around vaccinated people. So, I don't know if you guys have seen those, the restaurants that are saying, no, only unvaccinated people allowed here. I think we have to be careful with that. I don't want us to go either way, because all of our energy needs to be spent fighting the government, like literally fighting them. Like, at this point, I don't know what to do. Like, should we just stop paying taxes? That would stop like the money flow going into the government coffers. I don't even know what to do anymore. Do we just stop paying taxes? Could we do that? We'd have to kind of all do it collectively at the same time. I think we have to get the people who have had the jab on our side and get them to understand we cannot get divided amongst us over this. It's really not about us and the jabbed and the non-jabbed. It really is not about that. So we really have to try to get all of us on the same page and put our energy directed against our government at this point, because our government has clearly declared war on us. Absolutely 100% declared war on us. The minute it said you need the passports to travel, you need passports to go to work, you need the jab to go to participate in life, that was the declaration of war. So we're already there. We already have to fight that, and that's our biggest fight that we're going to have to take on. So, oh boy, hopefully this isn't directed at me, but apparently somebody here hates Canada. Maybe I do. I don't think Dee would say that to me, but whatever. It's probably you guys talking. Yeah, old white guy for president, for prime minister. Yeah. Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Yes, this is good advice here. I'm not going to say it out loud, but please read it on the screen, guys. But this is some good advice from the Alex Jones in this chat, our Alex Jones in this chat. But yeah, there's you should do this if you can, and get what goes along with it. Buy as much as you can of that. And hopefully we can do the best we can. So, is HODL causing problems, guys? Oh, see, Joad's a moderator. He'll handle it. It's all good. There's a couple mods in there. You guys will handle. Crit's a moderator. He'll handle him. So yeah, not great times ahead, guys. So okay, I'm gonna close off by talking about one last thing. It's my favorite search of the week, which is always been, if you type in the word unvaccinated in Google. So apparently, and I'll share my screen for this one. This is worth it because we need to see this. It's going to be a lot of so okay. We went from the unvaccinated caused the new resurgence of this pandemic, to how to convince the unvaccinated to get jabbed, to now the vaccinated should get jabbed. And now if you look at this here, so this is what I mean. Doesn't matter if the conservatives win, because look at what they're doing. This is a conservative guy saying unvaccinated candidates to take daily COVID-19 tests. And Ford, who said he was not going to do the vaccine passport, remember we saw this a few weeks ago, and I was like, no, you know what, guys, he's just going to come back and say it's okay, because they flip-flop every 2 weeks. So now he's threatening to boot 2 MPPs over refusal to get the jab. So this is where we are at in Canada now, where the medical decisions are no longer between you and your doctor, they are between you and the state. And this is why we have entered a very dangerous phase of tyranny. And we do have to fight this. We have to fight this. And this is where, even if you are jabbed, you have to realize that if you don't fight with us this time, maybe you were okay getting the jab this time, but the next time it comes around, if they come back and say in a year or two, you know, I don't know, like, people that have brown eyes are highly dangerous to our public safety, and they all need to be injected so that everybody has gray eyes. Like, everybody, brown eyes are dangerous, blue eyes are the variant, green eyes are the anomaly. So we need to inject your brain so that your eyes now become gray, and everybody has gray eyes, because that's less dangerous for public safety. Maybe, do you want that? Is that something that you're going to be okay with? Like, what will it take for the people who aren't fighting up or seeing a problem yet? What will it take for you in the future for you to be like, whoa, that's too much? So think of whatever that is. And that's what you need to realize is happening to some other people today. So just because our threshold is different than yours, you will have one eventually. And this always reminds me of and again, let me go back to Nazi Germany. Just indulge me, guys. I need to go back to Nazi Germany, because you guys know I know that history so well. But in Germany, so in Europe at that time, when rumors were starting to spread that the Jews were getting, killed wholesale, there was one group of Jews in the Ukraine, the Ukrainian Jews. They thought, we're the best of the Jews. Like, we're the Ukrainian Jews. So nobody's going to come after us. We don't have to worry about it. And they didn't really do much to try to help the Jews of the rest of Europe. And eventually, I think it was 1944, the Nazis came for the Ukrainian Jews, and they were shocked. But by the time they came for the Ukrainian Jews, there were no other Jews left there to defend them. So this is the kind of scenario that I'm trying to illustrate for us here. Maybe you're okay with this jab this time, but in the future, there will be something that will come along that you will not be okay with. And if you haven't along the way just helped, shape the message of freedom, shave off the government, like push off the government from their overreach, clear overreach right now, trying to control who we are, where we go, what we have in our bodies, they will come for you eventually. And by the time they go to you, nobody will be left, right? And there's that expression, same thing, right? By the time I didn't speak up, and by the time they came for me, nobody was left to speak up for me. So that's the exact scenario. So right now, the jabbed, the non-jabbed, we need to hold hands, become best friends, and fight against the government that is trying to impose all of this on us. Whether it's, and trust me, this is nothing yet. Wait after the election, September 21st, they'll announce a lockdown for October, probably all the way to Christmas, actually. And they'll say, even if you're vaccinated, you can't go out. You need permission from the government to go to work. You will not be able to leave your house and go more than 5 kilometers. You can only leave your house once a week. Only one person of your house can go and get supplies. So this is the kind of thing that is coming. I trust me, it will be announced right after the election. They'll say, woohoo, Trudeau won, majority government. Trudeau will turn around and say, okay, see you guys, Canadians, you voted for me. You were completely in favor of my measures, which you call tyrannical, but whatever. But you agree with me. So here we go. September 21st, boom, all of these new lockdowns will be announced starting October 1st. Like, I can just see it happening. It is so unbelievably predictable at this point that, to me, I do not understand why people can't see this. So everything we've seen before was just the warm up. What we're going to see coming in October is going to be the real deal, and it's going to be Australia. So if you want a preview, you can look at what Australia is doing. Okay, so yeah, see, unvaccinated here. Let me just go in the news, just do a refresh on that. And it's still the same thing. They're trying to say here, look at this one, 67% in unvaxxed. Again, trying to do this whole thing. Now, how is it that aren't we like 75% vaxxed here in Canada, in Ontario? So why they're still concerned with the minority who didn't get vaxxed is beyond me, but it shows you it's not about a disease anymore. It's about pure control. But all of these people, in my favorite line, let's just take a break from the screen here so I can tell you about my favorite line. My favorite line is, we need to make sure the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. Okay, well then explain this to me. There's a couple of things that don't make sense to me. And maybe it's because I'm stupid, but I'd like to see a politician try to explain this one. You've had more than a year now to prepare, right? Train extra nurses, train support workers, whatever. You haven't done that, right? So that's the first thing. You've had more than a year to plan. You could have, instead of sending money to Pakistan for their diversity and inclusion, you could have used that money in Canada to build 2 or 3 more hospitals per province in order to absorb this COVID problem, right? You could have done that and train a few more nurses and doctors at the same time, right? That's one thing you could have done. You didn't do that. Nothing. But yet now we're supposed to say, oh, we have to remain in lockdown. Lockdowns were okay. I can kind of understand them the first time around when we needed that 2 week to flatten the curve, because at that point we didn't really know how it was going to hit. No scientists had a chance to look into this COVID thing. Nobody knew. Okay, you stay at home. We don't overwhelm the hospital. But that excuse being used a year and a half into the pandemic is one of the biggest lies I have ever seen. If you think anybody in the private industry could get away with that level of incompetence after a year into this, it just shows you. But maybe the government knows that there won't be any extra cases. Maybe they already know this because they've seen the data that's on BitChute, right? The data that's not available on YouTube, the data that you're going to have to go look up on BitChute. Maybe they already know about that, but they know it's not about this anymore. It's about fear. If they can still manufacture the fear, they can make people do crazy stuff and submit the whole way through. So is it that they're super incompetent and they couldn't build the hospitals after a year and a half? Or is it maybe that they know they won't overwhelm the hospitals, but they just need to keep the fear alive? So that's why they didn't feel the need to build the hospitals, but they're just kind of like keep hyping you up on this fear, right? So that's the first thing that drives me absolutely nuts. But the second thing is they're now saying that they're going to fire nurses who don't get the jab. So tell me this. You need nurses because we're going to overwhelm the hospitals, yet you can afford to fire the ones who don't get the jab. And by the way, these nurses who have been working with COVID patients, supposed COVID patients, the whole time, now they need to get the jab or else you need to fire them. It doesn't make sense. Like, nothing adds up. And when you understand that it's all about the control and the fear, then it makes sense. But for people who don't realize that the reprogramming, the brainwashing that's been going on, the fear campaigns, these people might think, oh my gosh, yeah, like, let's stay in our house, not overwhelm the healthcare system. I'm just amazed that people don't use like 2 or 3 brain cells to go, wait a second, haven't we been doing this for a year and a half now? Shouldn't they have figured this out? Right? Like, how many houses were built in the last year in Canada? You tell me you can't build a hospital with all the money you took from us. You can't build a hospital. You've been printing money. You can't build a hospital. You can't hire more nurses. It's unbelievable to me. Absolutely unbelievable. Something doesn't add up. It doesn't add up in any way. So anyways, I just want to see what Concan says. The nurses will be able to fill a market of people who need, yeah, that's right. There's going to be, you know how I was talking before about the black market? So every socialist country like USSR, Venezuela, like Cuba, all of those like deep communist countries always have a black market. And I can easily see that coming here. So I think there probably already is a black market for a couple of things. One is going to be food soon. There's going to be a black market for food. So if you can stock up on some stuff now, do it. And another one is going to be for passports, like those fake passports. I think there's going to be a huge black market for that. So get gold or whatever you need to, in case you ever need to come to that. But yeah, and I think there's going to be, it gets really strange, but there's going to be things like hiding unvaxxed people. There's going to be vaxxed people, jabbed people who are going to hide unvaxxed people in their basements or their attics pretty soon too. Just while the rounds are going, you know, like the police are going around looking for stuff like that. So, and one thing that terrifies me is the schools in September, because I think my kids, they're going to try to vaccinate the kids, is what I think. So anyways, that'll be another video completely. So anyways, Phil Brown, is that the Phil Brown? Yes, it is. Hey, Phil, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Anyways, so yeah, it's, and here, I'm going to put something else. Somebody, oh, I hope I could see it here. Hold on. Oh, wait. Somebody's, oh, here. So this, I don't like, I have to be very careful what I say. I don't know if the first 3 words in here are true. I don't know. But this is, again, I would encourage you to go on BitChute and look for this content. If you're not on there yet, go on BitChute, because you will see the true information on there. And I'm trying to kind of like word things properly when I come on here, so I can translate some of the messaging I'm seeing over there onto this platform for as long as I can. But you'll see a lot of things around the isolation of the virus. You'll hear scientists talk about it, talk about the testing, talk about the actual jab, and talk about the ramifications beyond any of this. Like you'll see pediatricians talk about teenagers that are suicidal at this point because they haven't been able to hang out with friends, and it's very dark. But it's almost like BitChute's the new dark web with all the truth out there. There is a lot of truth on BitChute. So, but yeah, it's a bit crazy. It's a bit crazy out there, but I would highly encourage you guys to go and check that out if you haven't. What is, just want to see what Terry's saying. Cut it for an upcoming, oh yeah. There's a lot of this, Terry. A lot of families are breaking up over this. Okay, I know it's not a new video, but did you see the video, guys, where the grandma comes up in her car at the street, and then there's like these little kids who are clearly excited to see her, but the mom made like a plastic sheet, and there's gloves that the grandma can put her arms through to hug the grandkids through the plastic sheet. And like, you see the grandma's face when she gets there, and she's just like kind of shocked, like, oh. But she kind of goes along with it, because what are you going to do? Like, you either see your grandkids or not. And if you have to see them covered with plastic, like I think I would want to see my grandkids. So it's just so flippin' heartbreaking to see that this is the level that they've achieved on us. So these little kids will remember their grandma through hugs, through plastic. It's just absolutely horrible. And yeah, just like Terry is saying here, a lot of those, we're going to something in, next weekend we're invited to something, and we haven't heard anything about that, about if we have to be unjabbed to attend. But I'm mentally ready for any time that happens at this point. I've just come to the conclusion, there are people out there who are brainwashed. I'll do what I can, but once they find out I'm unvaxxed, it's just crazy. I'm ready to be kind of like cut out, but I'm mentally ready, and it just makes it easier to absorb. This is what I mean. Prepare mentally for this stuff, because it's going to be hard times ahead. But my husband got invited to a work function this week, and it's an outdoor function at a food truck. And so they were told you have to wear a mask the whole time you're there. Once you arrive, they will take down your name for contact tracing in case something happens. And the whole time that you're there, you have to make sure you have no physical contact with your teammates, but you have to also stay 6 feet apart. So my husband's like, what kind of a work event is that? I don't want to go. So, and it's true, like, who wants to go to functions like that where you can't even, like, what's the point? I would rather go on Zoom and see their whole face at this point than to go in person. But this is how they're breaking us down, right? They're by making us stay home and do everything from home. But this is where I wish everybody would say, okay, you know what? Yeah. We read your sheet about the contact tracing and whatever. But you know what? I'm going to show up there and there's going to be 25 of us. We've all pre-agreed. We're not wearing masks. We're going to high five. We're going to hug and screw all these stupid measures. What the hell, right? That's what it's going to take. This is the kind of thing we're going to have to start doing in order for us to be absolutely like fighting against this, right? Because now businesses are enforcing it. This is our company enforcing it on my husband to behave this way. So think about this. The company is now de facto controlling where you are and how you behave and who you can interact with in what way. It's absolutely insane that this is a private business in Canada being able to dictate that. Just absolutely insane. So yeah, it's not going to be good for the next few months. Prepare yourselves right after the election to be faced with very, very draconian lockdowns, Australia style. So yeah, coming soon to your neighborhood. And all these unemployed people who are on CERB, the CERB's going to run out. When does it run out? Does it run out in October? Whenever that runs out, guess what these guys are going to be doing? They're going to be the government workers. They're going to be the new government contact tracers. They're going to be the people who show up at your house to make sure you're there. They're going to be like the ticket issuers. They're going to be given like COVID squad badges, and they're going to be walking around and taking down the names of people who left their house and making sure you're vaccinated and all that stuff, right? There's all these people that Trudeau has on CERB right now. That's going to be their job when CERB expires. Absolutely 100% going to happen. So anyways, that, yeah, is pretty much it for me. I'm out of breath. Too much depression. Can you imagine having to talk? And you guys can imagine, but one stream where you talk about the insane lockdowns in Canada and the Taliban in the same stream. It's like the two tyrannical worlds have collided and met in one big stream of depression. And that was the stream tonight. You're welcome. Anyways, so I'm going to have to start thinking about something to do at the end of the stream so I don't always leave this on a bad note. Okay, I'll give you guys a quick update on the garden before I leave today. You remember the massive zucchini who took over everything? So I did a few zucchini breads, and we still have a few more zucchinis to work our way through. So I'm preparing some videos to show you at the end of the summer of all of the things that we've done. But sneak peek, my son and I, my 15-year-old, we played Fruit Ninja, but with zucchinis and tomatoes, and it was awesome. So we had a super huge machete, incredibly sharp, and we would toss things and try to whip them out of chop them in half midair. It was awesome, like a perfect mom and son bonding moment right there with the vegetables from the garden. Of course, we picked the ones that were a little bit rotten, so it's not like we wasted good vegetables on that. But anyways, super fun. So we have video of that, and I have video of the massive zucchini and how I hacked him up and what we're doing with them. So we're working on more and more things. It'll be fun. But last weekend, I did 5 hours of salsa canning because I had an insane amount of tomatoes. So I went a little crazy on the tomatoes this year because I really love tomatoes. And I planted, I think, 37 plants of tomatoes, and they're all growing massively. None of them have died. I don't know why. And they're producing all these tomatoes. So every few days I have more tomatoes than I can handle. So anyways, I have to like literally take vacation from work to can stuff, to make things out of my vegetable garden because I have so much. So anyways, last weekend was salsa, and this weekend I'm going back into the zucchini world and gonna make a whole lot of other zucchini goodies. So anyways, I'll show all that in a video at the end of the summer, which should be pretty fun. So anyways, okay, that is it for me. See, I can end a stream on a good note. That was awesome. Tomatoes, how is that not awesome? But anyways, I will see you guys next week in the next edition of These Depressing Streams. Have a really good weekend, everybody. Enjoy yourselves and get prepared for what's coming soon. And good luck voting for this election. No idea who you're going to vote for. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Anyways, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, thanks so much for showing up. Love you guys and have a really good rest of the day. Bye. Mwah.